Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us here today. We are once again joined by Father Niko Tzetzis, who will be helping us appreciate Tone 1 in Byzantine chant.
Absolutely. Good to be here, Thomas.
So I know, as we discussed, the importance of the different tones within Byzantine chant and how that kind of directs how we approach chanting. So starting off, Tone 1, first number. So what are the basics to Tone 1? When do we use it during the year or during certain services? Or how is that, how does the church structure that?
Great question. There really isn't a single time of year for any tone. It's not, I don't know that I could really associate Tone 1 with one specific time of year. But with all the different tones, like when you hear certain things in that tone, it brings you into that new period, right? So if we're talking times of the year, as you start to approach Christmas, actually, as you approach Nativity, the canon that we'd start chanting on November 21st, on the feast of the entry of the Theotokos, that canon is in first mode.
Okay.
Right, and it starts out, Christ is born, glorify him. And all of a sudden it's like, all right, here we go. Like this hymn is going to take us all the way up to the feast. And then we're actually going to add in even another canon in first mode at Christmas. We're going to have two canons going at the same time. They're both in first mode. So first mode kind of carries us into Christmas. It does the same thing for Easter too, actually. For the canon of Easter, it is in first mode, but it doesn't bring us into Pascha. It doesn't bring us into Easter. We don't start chanting that one until Easter Day. So I also, and I think, different hymns we might associate with different feasts as different people, but I associate first mode with the canon for Pascha. Well, it is the mode for the canon of Pascha. So I know it in Greek, I don't know in English. Anastaseo simera lambrithom en lai. You hear that chanted the first time at that midnight service. And for a chanter, it's like, oh, here we go. Like we're into this season. We're going to keep that going all the way through Ascension. We're going to keep it, that hymn is going to carry us all the way through the leave taking of Pascha. It's going to be that hymn that carries us through that celebratory season of Pascha.
So how would you personally describe Tone 1?
So the church doesn't give any, there's not a specific mood or feeling we're supposed to associate with any particular tone. So we start there. It's not like the 8 tones have very specific 8 different feelings or characteristics.
Yes.
They're qualitative. The way I kind of visualize first mode, and I'm a very visual person, I see it as, if I were to describe it as colors, it would be like greens and browns and earth tones. It's very robust. It's grounding. It's not plain. It's not boring. It's actually, there's a lot you can do with first mode, but it has that very like home feel. It feels like the Shire in The Hobbit, right? You get that little round door and, you can kind of go in and you feel like you're really cozy. Like first mode has always felt cozy to me. It's felt powerful.
So what would you say are the examples of a hymn that people are probably familiar with showing off Tone 1?
Okay, so like the big one that comes to mind, and everyone who went through Holy Cross, the seminary, is going to be really excited about this first one. It's the Feast of the Holy Cross, the elevation of the Holy Cross on September 14th. That feast, we chant, Soson Kyrie ton laonsu, save, O Lord, your people, right? And first mode, save, O Lord, your people, and bless your inheritance. Soson Kyrie ton laonsu, kevloison tin klironomiansu. Again, that bass note. All the way back down to pa.
Back to the beginning.
Holds tight there. That's, I think, the one that's most recognizable from the class of apolitikia, of these hymns feasts. Another major feast has first mode, more than one, but the other one that comes to mind is one of my other favorites, Ipapandi, the presentation of Christ in the temple, the meeting of the Lord in the temple, and that's February 2nd. And that one goes, it's same thing, that just holds that and everything gets built on top of it. So those are the feasts that really have those anthems that are in first mode.
So what would you say if somebody was interested in trying to start practicing mode 1 for themselves in tone 1? How would you suggest they attack that?
I'd say start with 3 apolitikia, right? 3 dismissal hymns. The 3 I'd start with, I would start with Soson Kyria. I'd start with Save, O Lord, Your People from the Feast of the Holy Cross. You can find these on, if you go to the Ages Initiative site, you can find them right on, if you look up the service from September 14th, you'll find that hymn in Greek and in English. But I'd also look them up, like listen to them on YouTube. So September 14th, I would look up February 2nd, the hymn for Ipapandi, and I would also make sure you know the resurrectional first mode hymn. So take a step back here. For all of the 8 tones, there are 8 different resurrectional hymns. Those hymns are chanted on the Sunday of that tone each week. So each week, the Sunday is associated typically with a tone. So 2 weeks ago, it was first tone on Sunday, which also happened to be St. Nicholas. So if you look up December 6th on Ages, you'll find that after God is the Lord, you're going to find the first mode, apolitikion. Tulithus fragistendos hypotoni udeon, or in English, the stone had been secured with a seal by the Judeans, and a guard of soldiers was watching your immaculate body. If you find those hymns, have someone record them if you know a chanter you want to model after, and there are a lot of different chanters on YouTube who have stuff up there. You learn those 3. You're going to learn one of the basic applications of first mode. Okay. The other thing I would do is I would look up the 2 canons that use first mode. Or the 2 canons that I talked about. I look up the Christmas canon, or katavasias. You'll find just the katavasia, the main hymn of each ode of the canon. You'll find those listed out there. 9 of them. 8 actually. 9 odes, but they skipped 2. You'll find those 8 chanted online. You can find them on YouTube, and that'll be Christ is Born, Glorify Him for Christmas. And it'll be, it is the day of resurrection. Now, I have to take a second and say there are 2 hymns that start is the day of resurrection. There's a first mode one, which is in the canon, and you'll see ode listed. It's confusing. We're talking about mode. What is an ode? There are 9 odes in a canon. Each one has a theme. I'm going to put that on the side. Those are unrelated to mode. Mode is that scale we're talking about here.
Okay.
So if you find those 2 canons in mode 1, Christ is Born, Glorify Him, and it is the day of resurrection, learn those 2, because those 2 canons will really give you an appreciation of the different seasons. When you hear Christmas coming or after Easter, you'll really find an appreciation there.